Just a quick update. Guillaume Soro is in critical condition. Some people are saying that he has passed away yesterday since in the AES. Not too sure on all of the details. You know how these things run. People talk, there's rumors. There's nothing on the Wikipedia or anything like that. But from the sources close to the man himself, Guillaume Soro is no more. That's what they say. He is no more. They say he would have been fighting with some kind of illness, some kind of sickness. For those of you who don't know, he was the ex-prime minister of the country, and he was also president of the National Assembly. His rebellion was what split the country into two. He was fighting in order to put Alassane Dramane Ouattara on the throne, in the power. He was fighting against Gbagbo, and then after that, he switched sides. Well, not switched sides. He was kind of incorporated into Gbagbo's government. And then when he was underneath Gbagbo, he then switched sides to go and fight on behalf of Alassane Dramane Ouattara. And the two men, they would have had a falling out because Alassane Ouattara had promised Kigbafori Soro that he would be next up to be the president after the first 5-year term from 2010 to 2015 had elapsed. That never happened. So Kigbafori Soro grew increasingly irate, increasingly angry. So he basically just kind of went upon kind of a Gulliver's travel of a tour, went around speaking out against Alassane Ouattara and founded his own political party. And then he's been in opposition ever since then. Recently, as in 2020, there was an opposition and he was one of the leaders of that opposition. His passing comes as a major shock to political commentators on both sides, on all sides of the aisle, really. It's a shame. You know, definitely he could have been one of the key people for unification and reconciliation in the country. Some people might be happy at the news, and the irony is the people who might be happy might be found on both sides, and the people who might be sad might be found on both sides. I guess the only people that are truly, truly sad are the people that are on his side, 100% purist Soroists. This guy, a lot of you Anglophones, you won't have any idea who he is, but he's a very important man in Francophone West Africa, very important man in the history of the Ivorian Civil War, in the history of Ivorian civil politics, conflict, so on and so forth. And for him to have passed away, if this is true, this will be a major blow to the political landscape, not just of Ivory Coast, but of Francophone West Africa everywhere. Because ultimately, in Ivory Coast, what they're talking about is going into the AES if they are able to get rid of Alassane Ouattara. That's the plan of the opposition to Ouattara. And he, Kigbafori Soro, he is the man. He's the point man that basically liaises Ivory Coast and all that which is Ivory Coast to Ibrahim Traoré. So he finds himself in that situation. And now removed, who's going to jump up and take his place? There are others who can. Of course, there are others who can, but this guy in particular, he was a man of many talents. Love him, hate him, indifferent. Well, he left nobody indifferent. I don't want to too much eulogize the man because, you know, many things were done in his name or because of him or with his complicity. The legacy that he left behind is going to be unpacked for generation, at least a generation within Ivory Coast, within Francophone West Africa. But for you English speakers, just to put that out there, that yes, indeed, this man has been rumored to have passed. This man has been rumored to have passed. And his passing comes at a time of political uncertainty, definitely for the future of Ivory Coast. That is kind of a blow. It's a blow to the opposition for sure. You know, when it comes to this political thing and when it comes to politics, yeah, these political things, politics makes for strange bedfellows. You know, people getting up into bed and just doing all kinds of, you know what I mean? They're in bed with each other deep like that. And it's funny though, because people are going to turn around and they're going to blame Alassane Dramane Ouattara. They're going to blame him. They're going to say that he had something to do with this. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say for sure, because more or less people that go up against him, something happens to them. Usually his protege, so on and so forth. So people have a problem with this, right? Amadou Gon Coulibaly, Ahmed Bakayoko, right? And now, Guillaume Kigbafori Soro. So those of you who are English-speaking, Anglophones, you probably have no idea what's going on. Probably not interested in that. But this is what my channel is about. Talk about West Africa. Talk about the things that affect West Africa and the diaspora of West Africa. And ultimately everything else miscellaneous to that. And I just wanted to put that out there that yes, the story, word on the internet, the word buzzing around is that Guillaume Kigbafori Soro is no more. If this is the case, May God help his soul. May he repose. May he rest in peace. You know what I mean? You say what you want about the man. He lived a life, man. If you've listened to the song and you've heard the song, Permega, you've heard that song? His name is one of the names being picked up at the end. So just to show you, this song comes back from 1999. This man has been relevant since then. I did speak about him in my previous video, the video before the previous one. I do believe it was that one. I did speak on that. So, anyway, rest in peace if this is the truth. I would say gone too soon. Anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.